Frontline Briefing, uncovering modern warfare's hidden battles. Late afternoon, eastern Ukraine. Date uncertain, likely autumn 2024, based on subsequent reporting. A Ukrainian MiG-29 reportedly flew low altitude toward a dam converted into a Russian supply route. According to Ukrainian sources and OSINT reconstruction, the pilot faced a tactical problem that defines modern air operations: how to deliver a precision weapon while flying through integrated air defense coverage. The mission appears in Ukrainian military footage released weeks later, drone video showing the strike, but not the approach that made it possible.
Ukrainian jet STRIK Russian dam pluts, and a 17-meter blast erased a supply lifeline in under 4 seconds.
The target, a dam at Kurakhove Reservoir, reportedly being used as a vehicle crossing point. Russian forces had converted civilian infrastructure into military logistics. According to Ukrainian statements, civilian drivers were being used to transport military supplies across the dam, complicating strike authorization under rules of engagement that attempt to minimize civilian casualties. This created a narrow strike window. Hit the structure when military vehicles are crossing, and avoid times when only civilian traffic is present. The challenge? The dam sat within overlapping air defense coverage. OSINT analysis of the region identifies multiple Russian air defense systems operating in the area. S-400 batteries with published detection ranges up to 400 kilometers. Tor-M2 short-range systems are designed specifically for low-altitude threats. Buk-M3 medium-range platforms fill the middle layer. In theory, this creates what air defense doctrine calls mutually supporting coverage. Each system covering the gaps of the others. The weapon reportedly used a French-made AASM hammer-guided bomb. The AASM, Armament Air Sol Modulaire, converts standard bombs into precision weapons. A guidance kit attaches to conventional munitions, adding GPS/INS navigation, a rocket motor for extended range, and control fins. Published specifications list ranges up to 70 kilometers depending on release altitude. The weapon requires specific release parameters: sufficient altitude for the glide profile, a stable aircraft platform for GPS lock, clear line of sight for terminal guidance. According to the operational sequence visible in release footage in Ukrainian military statements, the mission involved low-altitude penetration using terrain masking, rapid climb to release altitude while under air defense engagement, weapon release during a brief exposure window, high-speed egress below radar coverage. The entire sequence from valley exit to weapon release, reportedly under 90 seconds. The approach reportedly used the Dnipro River Valley system. River valleys create natural depressions in terrain with a lower elevation than the surrounding areas. For radar operators, this presents a geometric problem. Radar signals travel in straight lines and cannot bend around terrain. When an aircraft flies below the surrounding terrain elevation, it becomes invisible to ground-based radar beyond the immediate area. The radar beam passes overhead, while the aircraft remains in the shadow created by hills or ridges. At low altitude, the detection equation changes fundamentally. Standard S-400 detection ranges assume aircraft at medium to high altitude, where radar has a clear line of sight. At 150 meters, the altitude, approximately the height reported for this approach to detection range, drops to 10 to 15 kilometers for ground-based systems, depending on radar height and local terrain. This creates a tactical window: remain undetected until close to the target, then execute the attack before defenses can respond effectively. The MiG-29's radar warning receiver would have been critical during this phase. The SPO-15 system detects radar emissions hitting the aircraft. Different radar types produce different signal patterns. Search radars sweep broadly, tracking radars focus narrowly, fire control radars maintain continuous lock. The system displays threat direction, but not precise distance. Pilots reportedly use signal strength and pulse rate to estimate range, a technique sometimes called Mississippi counting, based on the intervals between radar pulses. Flying at low altitude creates additional risks beyond air defense. At 150 meters, obstacles appear with minimal warning. Power lines, cell towers, and unexpected terrain elevations each represent a potential collision hazard. The MiG-29's maximum speed at this altitude would be limited by both aerodynamic factors and pilot reaction time. Navigation precision becomes critical. GPS provides position, but terrain databases must be accurate to avoid controlled flight into terrain. The fuel calculation reportedly constrained the entire mission timeline. Round-trip distance to target and back to Ukrainian-controlled airspace, approximately 140 to 160 kilometers, based on probable launch points. Combat reserves for evasive maneuvers. Fuel consumption increases significantly during low-altitude flight and afterburner use. Total available mission time, likely 15 to 20 minutes from takeoff to landing, with perhaps 2 to 3 minutes over the target area before fuel state required egress. The valley protection ends at the transition to open farmland. At this point, the aircraft would become visible to all radar systems with a line of sight. The transition from undetected to fully exposed occurs in seconds as the aircraft exits terrain masking. Russian air defense operators would have seen a new contact appear suddenly at low altitude, high speed, heading toward defended territory. Standard air defense doctrine calls for rapid threat assessment. Identify contact type, determine trajectory and speed, calculate threat level, assign engagement priorities. The process, when functioning correctly, takes 5 to 10 seconds from detection to launch authorization. During this window, the pilot's options are limited: continue toward the target, execute evasive maneuvers, or abort. The reported solution: rapid climb to weapon release altitude. This is counterintuitive. Climbing makes you more visible and easier to track, but the AASM hammer requires altitude for its glide profile. Without sufficient release height, the weapon cannot reach the target. The pilot reportedly traded concealment for geometry, using the brief window before missiles reached intercept to achieve release parameters. Ukrainian combat footage shows a MiG-29 in vertical climb with afterburners engaged. The climb rate visible in the footage appears consistent with maximum performance: 200 to 300 meters per second, from 150 meters to 5,000 meters release altitude, approximately 15 to 20 seconds of climb. During this time, the aircraft would have been clearly visible to all radar systems, presenting an optimal target profile. The physics of high G maneuvering creates pilot stress. Sustained G forces increase the pilot's body weight. At 4 Gs, a 75-kilogram pilot weighs 300 kilograms. Blood pools in the lower extremities. Vision narrows as blood pressure to the brain decreases. G suits compress legs and abdomen to maintain blood flow, but sustained high G can still cause gray out or loss of consciousness. Modern fighter pilots train to sustain 6 to 9 Gs for brief periods. The reported 4 Gs sustained during the climb would be manageable but fatiguing.
Первый сопровождаю третьим каналом маловысотная. По третьему каналу цель уничтожить.
Electronic warfare during the engagement would have involved multiple layers. Chaff, bundles of aluminum-coated glass fibers cut to specific lengths matching radar wavelengths. When dispensed, they create a cloud of false returns that can temporarily mask the aircraft's actual position. Different radar frequencies require different chaff lengths. S-400 operates in X-band, 8 to 12 gigahertz, requiring approximately 2.5 centimeters fibers. Tor systems use different frequencies, requiring different chaff specifications. The MiG-29's electronic countermeasures pod reportedly attempted a range gate pull-off. This technique works by generating a false radar return slightly offset from the aircraft's actual position. The jamming system then gradually moves this false return away from the real aircraft, attempting to make the tracking radar follow the false signal instead of the actual target. Effectiveness depends on radar sophistication, jamming power, and operator awareness. Modern air defense systems have countermeasures designed to resist these techniques. Meanwhile, Russian air defense systems would have been attempting intercepts. S-448N6 missiles, maximum speed approximately Mach 6, range dependent on target altitude and aspect. Launch to intercept time, likely 20 to 30 seconds for a target at this range and altitude. Tor M2 systems, designed specifically for low altitude, high-speed targets. Shorter range but faster reaction time than strategic systems. The pilot's defensive maneuvers reportedly included extreme flight profiles, rapid direction changes to break radar lock. Altitude variations complicate trajectory prediction. Speed changes to defeat intercept calculations. Each maneuver consumes fuel and time resources already critically limited. The goal, stay alive long enough to reach released parameters, then egress before missiles arrive. At some point during this sequence, the AASM hammer achieved release conditions. GPS lock confirmed, inertial navigation aligned, target coordinates loaded. Weapon systems are showing readiness for release. The pilot reportedly maintained stable flight for approximately 2 seconds, the minimum time for weapon systems to complete initialization and ensure clean separation, then released the weapon and immediately initiated maximum performance evasive dive. Once released, the AASM hammer operates autonomously. The rocket motor ignites immediately, pushing the bomb upward and forward. The weapon climbs to optimize its glide profile, trading speed for altitude to maximize range. GPS and inertial navigation systems work together to guide the weapon toward program coordinates. Control fins make continuous micro-adjustments to maintain trajectory. The infrared seeker activates during terminal approach. This provides additional guidance beyond GPS. The seeker detects temperature differences between the target and the surroundings. Concrete retains heat differently from water, creating a thermal signature. The combination of GPS provides general area and IR provides precise aim point, creates dual-mode guidance resistant to jamming or GPS spoofing. Russian air defense reportedly attempted to intercept the weapon itself. This presents a difficult target, a smaller radar cross-section than an aircraft, an unpowered glide phase, and relatively slow speed compared to missiles. Some air defense systems can engage precision weapons, but success rates depend on detection timing and engagement geometry. The weapon reportedly struck the dam structure with the kinetic energy of a vehicle moving at extreme speed. The penetrating warhead detonated after passing through the concrete surface, with a fuse designed to maximize internal damage rather than surface cratering. Ukrainian drone footage shows the impact and resulting structural collapse. This engagement illustrates several principles of modern strike operations against integrated air defense. First, terrain masking remains effective despite advanced radar. The curvature of the earth and terrain features create geometric limitations that technology cannot overcome. An aircraft below the radar horizon is invisible, regardless of radar sophistication. This creates a tactical window, remain concealed until the last possible moment, then execute rapidly during brief exposure. Second, weapon release parameters create vulnerability windows. Precision weapons require specific conditions: altitude for range, a stable platform for lock, clear trajectory for guidance. Achieving these parameters often requires making the aircraft temporarily more vulnerable. The trade-off: brief high-risk exposure in exchange for precision strike capability. Third, countermeasures create uncertainty, not immunity. Chaff, jamming, and evasive maneuvers complicate but don't prevent air defense engagement. They buy time and reduce hit probability, forcing air defense systems to make rapid decisions under degraded conditions. The goal isn't invulnerability, but survival long enough to complete the mission. The dam strike demonstrates how precision weapons change infrastructure targeting. Traditional air campaigns required multiple sorties with unguided weapons to destroy hardened targets. Precision guidance allows single aircraft missions against specific infrastructure with significantly reduced collateral risk. This changes the calculus of using civilian infrastructure for military purposes, as what was once defensible through air defense becomes vulnerable to precision strikes. The mission also illustrates the continuing relevance of Soviet-era aircraft when integrated with modern weapons. The MiG-29 enters service in 1982. The AASM hammer was developed in the 2000s. The combination, old airframe, delivering modern precision, creating capability without requiring entirely new aircraft. For Ukraine, this approach maximizes existing resources while incorporating Western precision technology. The broader pattern? Air defense remains formidable but not impenetrable. Skilled pilots using terrain, timing, and countermeasures can penetrate even sophisticated integrated air defense, though at significant risk. Each successful mission represents survival as much as achievement. This is the operational reality both sides face. Air defense can deny airspace but cannot guarantee protection against all threats all the time.